Hello, welcome to Rappler Talk. My name is JC Gotinga, and joining us today is Jonathan Ong. He's a professor of communications at the University of Massachusetts, and he is the co-author of a new study coming out today, which is called Tracking Digital Information in the 2019 Philippine Midterm Election. So he's co-authors with sociologist Nicole Curato and media and culture lecturer Professor Ross Tapsel. So, hi. Thanks for joining us,
Thank you for
Jonathan.
having me.
Right. So, what prompted you to do this study?
Yeah, so in a way, this extends from our previous research. So we actually published a study a year ago called Architects of Network Disinformation, which was about the political trolling industry in the Philippines. So, but it was looking at the 2016 election. Obviously, a lot of innovations in social media, particularly from the Duterte campaign, right, that it really invested in social media. So we wanted to compare and contrast what has changed from 2016 to 2019. How have people evolved? Because parang in 2016, a lot of fake news was very new, diba? We were caught off guard.
Right.
So in 2019, we were wanting to see, are people, are we able to take down content now? Are we able to discern what's fake news and what's not?
Right. So, in broad strokes first, so what essentially did you find changed between 2016, 3 years on, 2019? Of course, 2016 was a presidential election.
Yes.
So the stakes were higher in a way.
Yeah.
But 2019 was seen as a referendum on Duterte's, let's just call it polarizing, divisive leadership, right? So parang ganun eh. So 2019, although it was senatorial, it still was quite crucial. So what did you find?
Yeah, so first it became more widespread. Social media and disinformation became more widespread. So in spite of all the interventions on fact-checking or even media literacy about fake news, no, parang we have a term to talk about it, it actually spread even more. So it became more prevalent from the national down to the local level. So also across the political spectrum. So in fact, nag-diversify pa siya rather than nag-shrink. And also, naging mas manipulative and sophisticated yung fake news. So dati, it was more high-profile bloggers and mega influencers. And also mga fake news, like imposter websites. If you remember in 2016,
Right.
Yung parang mga fake ABS-CBN.com.
Yes, na parang one character like time, pero instead of letter I, it's at the number 1.
Yes, exactly.
Yung mga ganon. And it misleads the viewer, the reader, to believe na it's Time Magazine.
Exactly.
When in fact, it's not. Yeah.
So parang dati, it was more that brand impersonation, a website na clickbaity. Ngayon, parang mas micro-targeted. So we're seeing more micro-level influencers. Mas kalat na yung different actors who are doing fake news and also operating at the level of close groups.
Right.
So parang mas insidious, mas micro-targeted na ang fake news.
Sige, please talk to us about this micro-targeting. Kumbaga, in more descriptive terms, paano siya naiba doon sa nakita natin noong 2016? 2016, we saw the Mocha Usong blog. We saw YouTube content, speeches of then candidate Rodrigo Duterte going viral, di ba? And that's how he gained his following because people were watching, listening to him on social media. And to be fair, not so much on TV or on the radio, right? So now you're saying peddlers of disinformation are going for, they're going retail, tama ba yun? Is it right to call it that way? Na they're not anymore as after huge hundreds of thousands, millions kind of reach, but yon. So why would they go for smaller groups? Why would they go with parang micro-influencers?
Yeah, exactly. So parang less parang mass targeted, no? But now parang targeting very specific niche audiences and specific communities. So first, the reason for this is parang it also follows industry trends. So micro-level influencers na parang so they don't have the same number of followers as the mega influencers. So mega influencers, 500,000 followers and above. Yun yung industry definition.
Right.
Kung micro influencers, 100,000 and below. Tapos meron pang category na nano-influencer below 10,000. So even though mababa yung followers nila, they seem more authentic, they seem actually more relatable for the ordinary person who's following them. So parang there's more of a sense of trust between followers and these online celebrities. And then itong micro-influencers, they cater to specific topics. Right? So they could be very, for example, fans of a particular politician or,
Right.
or a political party. Or some could be about pop culture. Some could be like addressing, parang creating like very funny, humorous content.
Yeah, in your study, you mentioned mom bloggers, di ba? Parang ganon. It's really groups na may particular interest,
Yes.
and there's this person who acts as parang like their intellectual leader, parang ganon. He's
Like an
the thought
opinion leader, yeah.
Yes,
like a
opinion
thought
leader there.
yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah. Also, micro-influencer parang could be much more crafty, na parang could be more conspiratorial. So parang, we also saw, like conspiracy groups around flat Earth, for example, or anti-vaccine groups, for example.
Right.
So, madali din yung i-twist at i-hijack yung group na yon, and magsiseed ka ng political post for a politician
What
or,
sorry.
or a party.
Yeah,
Go.
what results do these micro-influencers deliver for the candidates?
Yeah.
Ano results? Parang does advertising in a way through these micro-influencers really translate into actual votes as opposed to, let's say, you tap a macro-influencer with 500,000. So ano yung naging difference na that such that candidates put their money in these
Yeah.
micro-influencers?
So, the issue of like yung relation ng advertising to a particular vote, never naman yan siya talagang direct,
Okay.
even with television ads or radio ads. But importante pa rin natin i-track yung relation nila in terms of getting people's attention, seeding particular narratives. So parang ang intention naman to have like a whole group of micro-influencers posting the same idea, for example, or the
Okay.
same conspiracy that the opposition and mainstream media are like, conspiring together against the current administration, di ba? Parang that's one narrative. So parang magsiseed sila across multiple platforms and trying to get this narrative to be part of mainstream conversation. So parang it sounds very authentic, organic, na narinig ko to from a community group that I'm following on Facebook, and therefore it looks authentic, organic, and then it becomes part of conversation na. And that's what we need to be very concerned about. So, but it's actually manipulative, it's actually strategized from the top.
Okay, so some examples of this. You in your study you cited specific instances of this happening, and you even came up with categories. Diba? You have the parody accounts, and then the micro influencers. Yon. So please talk to us about the instances na nakita nyo.
So, for example, nakita namin one technique na ginagamit. So, for example, people now use parody accounts. This is quite new for 2019. After the 2016 election, parang ang dami nag-start ng mga fake accounts, like a fake Amy Marcos account, for example. Right. Like a fake Bongbong Marcos account.
Yes.
So they use snarky humor, they use sarcasm, they would also use Photoshop, right? And so visual trickery. But using sarcasm to poke fun at those in power. So sometimes they would be sharing the same narrative and the same content.
Right.
In a way, the parody accounts are used more by like opposition figures and to promote that kind of narrative.
So
But
ito yung parang in a way they spoof the person that they're trying to disparage. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Parang we've seen this. Halimbawa, like you said, like a fake Amy Marcos account and then things that would be unflattering to her. Parang ganon.
Oo. And parang dumami to talaga on Twitter, on Facebook, and in our report lists examples of some of these accounts.
Dumami siya as the election approached.
Yes.
Okay.
As the election approach, as we got closer to 2019. So if you look
Right.
at kung parang the date these accounts were created, they were actually pretty recent.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And then another example would be like pop culture accounts.
Right.
So ito naman are parang more humorous, inspirational accounts. They're not really related to politics, but magugulat ka na lang, may hashtag na siya
Right.
promoting a particular senator or even like a local mayor, for example.
So example, like top of mind, tama ba? Like, the way I understand pop culture accounts, like yung si Señora Santibanez, yung mga ganon.
Yeah,
Or si Madam
Yes.
Claudia, ganon.
Yes.
Okay,
oo.
okay.
So parang these are popular characters, sometimes even cartoon characters. And of course, Senora Santibanez, what is an innovator here. And in fact, there was even more of a formal collaboration between Senora and Nancy Binay. So
Yes.
if you recall, right before the campaign season started, they released a co-authored book on like jokes and
Right.
also promoting the Be Nice campaign ni Nancy Binay.
Right, right.
Yeah, so yun yung at least above ground version.
Yes,
Of a
yes.
collaboration.
Okay.
Right. Mhm.
Right. Sorry, go on. And then there's another category, right, after pop culture accounts.
Yes. So one other example of a micro-influencer is what we call thirst trap Instagrammers. So ito, nagulat kami dito na parang these are Instagram users who are very attractive males. We call them hypersexual males who flaunt their bodies for likes and followers.
Right.
And then
Parang yung mga fitness accounts, that right?
Yes.
Yung mga ganon.
Oo,
okay,
so
okay.
parang shirtless pictures on the beach or like lifestyle pictures, and then magugulat ka na lang may political post sila for a particular senator. In between yung mga shirtless pictures nila.
Right. And why is this? Why should we be concerned about this? In your study, you are raising alarm over this. Why?
Yeah. So I think what's at stake here is fairness in election campaigns. So if we actually, if the playing field becomes so uneven and rules are flagrantly violated, then our election integrity is at stake here. So we're not able to make decisions in a very fair manner. What is provided for in our Fair Elections Act is that campaigns should be above ground. People should know about the different spends across multiple platforms, multiple media. So social media is harder to track, right?
Right.
Unlike TV or radio or print, parang makikita natin, mamomonitor, including ng journalists, kung ano yung mga propaganda that are circulating. Kung social media, pwede kasi siyang very micro-targeted. And so that's what we're concerned about.
Yes.
Some narratives could be seeded underground and hindi siya easily captured.
Yes, talk to us about the process. So yun na nga, mahirap silang habulin. So describe to us what you found about how candidates and their campaign machinery employ the services of ito nga, you've mentioned above ground. And then there's the underground operations. So please talk to us about what you found.
Yeah, so I always enjoy asking campaigners, like what is the process like when you pitch your services to a politician? And so in the past, yung digital strategists actually peripheral lang siya to the team. So parang they're not the priority. Like they will choose to hire a campaigner with real experience doing grassroots campaigning at the barangay level, really mobilizing voters, or who are good at branding on TV. But now, parang mas marami ng strategists who tell us that, we're getting more investment, more budget for social media campaigns because they're actually cheaper than TV. So sometimes the politicians and the campaigners directly interact, but in other occasions, actually, the campaigners will never even meet the politician directly.
There's a term that you said. In a way, there's a level of protection that this provides the candidate. There's a term that you used for it.
So parang may plausible deniability.
There, plausible deniability. What does this mean, and why is it expedient? Why is it useful for the candidate?
Yeah, so parang having sometimes like an intermediary, like this could be a campaigner, or sometimes even like an investor who's like wanting to bankroll a politician to win sometimes a local race, for example. Sila yung dediretso sa strategist na parang, hey, panalunin niyo yung kandidato ko.
Right.
So, it gives the politician some protection in that kung ano yung spined nung investor or nung intermediary, hindi na siya i-declare sa official campaign spends.
Right.
Yeah, and so that's a way to circumvent the existing provisions around campaign expenditure na kailangan i-disclose how much you're spending across multiple platforms.
So you're saying pwedeng si candidate magbigay siya ng a certain X million pesos to, let's say, this the operator. There's a term you use for it. The strategist or the campaigner. And then siya na bahala saan niya dadalhin yung money na yon. And then when they, for example, troll farms and these microinfluencers, wala na silang receipts. Pwedeng kaliwaan na lang, bigyan na lang yung pera. Right? So what happens there? The money, it ends up parang deflating kung ano yung naging campaign expenditure nung candidate, because just by way of a background, the COMELEC limits how much candidates are supposed to spend in their campaigns, supposedly to level the playing field, so that the richer candidates supposedly do not get an advantage over the poorer ones, or at least the less funded ones, right? But with this, because everything can happen underground, you're saying that now talagang money talks all the more. Is that right?
So particularly sa social media, ang daming mga loopholes sa ating expenditure rules that in a way enables politicians to be parang pouring a lot of their money and investment in social media, pero hindi naman siya mapapasok sa declarations of official expenditure. And that makes for a very insidious kind of campaigning.
Right.
And parang politicians, sometimes binabahala din nila yung content ng campaign sa strategist. Na parang, I don't need to know all the details. So you can execute on your own.
And then when they're interviewed about it, they can honestly say, I don't know about it.
Yes.
I don't know of any troll farms. I don't know of any influencers that I tapped for my campaign. Because honestly, he doesn't know. He just enlisted somebody to take care of the quote-unquote dirty work for him, right? And this is across the board, right? This isn't just administration or opposition, or it's you've found this practice done by all the players in the last elections, tama ba?
Across the political spectrum,
right?
Not just admin but also opposition candidates, but also from national down to the local. So yun yung Nicole Corato did fieldwork in Mindanao, in Iligan particularly, and then we also have Ross Tapsel, my co-author, doing fieldwork in Cebu. And so, they interviewed local politicians and campaigners. And so, like mayoral races can get really noisy on social media now, and it didn't used to be like that. So ngayon, kanya-kanyang gawaan ng accounts for like local news, like local Cebu news, local Manila news, and so and then magsiseed sila ng fake news stories in these seemingly innocent local news pages.
Right, and then let's talk about, so there's their effect on the result of the elections, but then there's also their effect on the electorate, the people who consume this information. And many of them do not actually end up voting. Many of them are too young to even vote. Hindi sila registered voters, but they consume and share this content. May mga tao hindi rehistradong botante, pero share ng content na ganito. And of course, the general public who just, read stuff, whatever they see on their social media feeds. Ano yung impact sa kanila?
So, I think impact could be quite diverse depending dun sa political alignment nung fan or nung audience, no? So, parang for those with like very strong political alignments, na parang, I'm pro-Liberal Party or I'm pro-Duterte, parang fake news and disinformation campaigns are really intended to mobilize them. So parang through emotionally arousing language, na parang it really confirms their belief in a politician or that particular party. And yun yung nakita namin din na medyo unique for the 2019 campaign and the conduct of it, na very partisan na siya, na it's either you're pro-Duterte or anti-Duterte. It's like, some of the what do you call it, the hashtags are super split across those two, even though hindi naman yun palagi yung issue, for example in some of the debates. So parang it further it mobilizes people in those camps and further polarizes the voters and communities.
And then yung pagpapakalat nitong mga, like you said, conspiracy theories. Your study outlined there's positive revisionism na parang hearkening back to the old imagined glory days of, let's say, the Marcos regime, na things were better back then, the Manila Bay was pristine at that time. And then there's negative na parang, again, on the reverse, merong mga, I guess, exaggerating or false failures of other administrations, particularly the Aquino administration, the first one, Cory, and then Noynoy. Kasi nga, meron tayong ganong, that's a problem we deal with, right? Like the false dichotomy of Marcos, Aquino, na hanggang ngayon we're still there. And somehow, the Duterte narrative plays into that because he's associated with strongman leadership. Marcos, nandun siya sa isang side ng spectrum. Andito naman sa kabila, the neoliberals, the liberal parties, ganito. And then there's that tension, right? So, talk to us about yung findings nyo naman sa content, yung narrative. How do they, so we've talked about the technique, paano nila ini-infiltrate itong underground social media landscape. But then now, the narratives that are put out there, echo chambers, you've talked about that. So please explain to us what this means.
Yeah, so and we found, I think the historical revisionism is, like one of the key genres of fake news and disinformation. And kalat na kalat siya, particularly on YouTube. So there are YouTube channels kind of dedicated to, like recasting and rewriting the narrative of the Marcos era. Some of this, yun nga, medyo positive yung spin. Paminsan, gagamitin nila is iti-twist nila this narrative to serve a particular candidate.
Right.
It could be Aimee because she is obvious. She is a Marcos.
Yes.
But it could be to serve other politicians associated with Duterte and the sympathizers there. So parang may in a way may family resemblance itong stories na to.
Right.
And i-connect nila paminsan to serve a political candidate.
Like you noted, no, like about yung Manila Bay Manila Bay cleanup, how it's brought to parang gano'n na malinis naman daw nung panahon ng Marcos, dumi na lang nitong huli, nalinis ni Duterte. So that there's that narrative.
Exactly.
And then they always yung Yolanda failure allegedly of the Aquino administration by the then Interior Secretary Mar Rojas na failure to deliver the services, the ganito. And that narrative still is being pushed now, like what you said, to twist things that are going on now, events are happening now, para, to serve
Exactly.
political
Yeah.
gains. Yes.
Oo. I think, it's great that you raised that, JC, because parang fake news doesn't always have to be a new story or a new narrative. Parang it could be tapping into, events that happened in the past, pero i-recast for a particular political aim for the moment. And so, yung mga narratives na Maro has bungled the response for Yolanda, for example, yung mga GIFs nun, yung mga pictures nung time na yon, gagamitin ulit, i-reseed siya into particular close groups or YouTube videos. For example, paminsan papalitan lang yung headline or magre-resurface siya during the campaign season.
So now that just looking at it, it's so messy, right? And then hindi pa natin natignan dito yung what we do not know. I mean, we're looking at the tip of the iceberg in a way because there are troll farms, and you've studied this. And yun na nga, looking forward, given the immensity of what you think needs to be done, you recommended certain ways of addressing this problem. So please talk to us about those.
So, our study also suggests a way forward. So parang we also don't want to be so pessimistic na parang, everything that you see on social media is fake, and the only solution is to disconnect and disengage from it. But I think there has to be, we have to hope that there are viable solutions here. And parang what we're trying to encourage is for us to have more transparency and accountability in campaigns. So this is a way of regulating na hindi siya about censorship, hindi siya focused on like taking down content. I'm worried about those particular examples in the Southeast Asian region na parang Malaysia had experimented with a anti-fake news law. Singapore is rolling out one that gives government powers to censor stories that they think are fake news but are actually like dissenting voices.
Right.
And of course, here in the Philippines...
And we've seen that happen. I mean, Rappler is an example of
Absolutely.
that. We're being stifled. We're being...
Yeah.
They're leveling, case upon case to kind of, pull us down and stop us from doing our work. And
through cyber libel and like a super liberal, perverse interpretation of cyber libel law.
Right.
But Senator Soto, I'm worried about like a new a proposed recommendation for a fake news law that is supposedly kind of adopting some of the Singaporean provisions. So I would be very careful of giving government powers of censorship around social media.
Especially it's them. They're the candidates. I mean, sila yung potentially liable for offenses. Should they tighten the laws and our control over this? You mentioned these other countries na may ganitong trend, but dito sa atin, meron na there's an infrastructure. Facebook has enlisted the help of Rappler, Agence France Presse, and other news agencies to actually, Verifiles, to monitor content and to do fact check, to release counter articles that clear this up and brand yung may ganun pa, fake, it's false, ganon. But you're saying this is not enough. Why is it not enough, and what else can be done?
So fact check and fact check initiatives are well and good and very sincere, and I think it's still important to call out stories when particularly when it has a real threat to public safety. Pero parang it's about catching fake news once it's already out there. So what our approach in our report, emphasizing a process and transparency in the process, is instead of catching fake news once it's out there, let's prevent some of this from being produced in the first place by creating more reportorial obligations on campaigners.
Right.
On the strategists, on politicians, to actually disclose everything that they're spending on, and also not just magkano, but ano yung content nung
Right.
pinapagawa nila, ano yung, what do their campaign sound like, what are they buying, like fake hashtag boosting, that should be declared as spends, paying out influencers, na on the side and underground na kaliwaan, as you say,
Yes.
kailangan din siyang i-declare.
Right.
And yeah, we need to have like a catalog of what people are spending on.
Okay, just to give our audience a background. No? Kasi ngayon, si COMELEC, the COMELEC monitors the law at least that exists is very much patterned after traditional media. So there's a limit to how much airtime a candidate can get on TV, how much mileage they get on print and online, in the online ecosystem, on websites and things like that. But now, they're still grappling with the rise of social media and how it has just grown exponentially.
Exactly.
I mean, dun pa lang sa kalagayan ngayon, hirap na si COMELEC. They're very candid about it that they are unable to track every billboard, every flyer, every TV ad. Well, at least they require the networks to submit yung mga na-ere na mga ad content for candidates. But how can they watch social media, right? And these are, yun nga, like I said, there are private groups. And are they going to watch piecemeal every single person's what they share? And syempre, it's one thing to put out like a meme, but it's another when 1 million people share it, then it gets multiplied. So how do you liquidate that? Diba? How do you make an accounting of that sa papel na, well, I spent, say, 20 pesos to do this meme, but that meme went viral and became, you know, shared, it was shared 100,000 times. Paano ngayon yun? So that's definitely not just worth 20 pesos anymore, for instance.
Yeah.
So given this, where do you think should the intervention cut in?
Yeah.
Saan? Given na ganito ka intricate the whole thing is.
Yeah. So I'm super sympathetic to COMELEC. We've met with them several times for consultations together with Lente. And they would be first to say, actually, we're looking at the campaign expenditure from the previous election pa, because we're undermanned, we're understaffed. Some of their monitors on campaign expenditure are fresh college graduates on like very short-term contracts. So they're also precarious workers. And I think what they need is support. What they need is the support of academics, journalists, who are very savvy around social media and understanding how it works, how multiple platforms work. It requires civil society and different watchdogs to be looking into these things. The only approach is really collaboration when it comes to monitoring around these new techniques ng strategists.
Okay, so you also mentioned yung the PR and ad industry.
Yeah.
Kasi they're following existing patterns in the industry. And of course, I guess it's fine if they do it in the commercial world. It's advertisements for companies and products and services. And another, when they're promoting candidates, would-be leaders of the country. So talk to us a little about what you recommend should be done with regard to this information industry.
Exactly.
Na maybe not as regulated simply because they're commercial.
Yeah. So I think from the advertising and PR industry, there's still an element, a strong denial of all of these things. So I don't think there's really been an open public conversation about questions of responsibility and ethics in campaigns. As you say, parang kung corporate, maybe we could let this slide. But actually, parang we've been letting all these things slide in the corporate realm. Like all those shadowy influencer endorsements, for example. Parang that template happened for corporate marketing. And that's how shampoo brands or soft drink brands do their discrete seeding of particular narratives. And so parang transpose lang nila yung loopholes from corporate marketing into political marketing. But mas malala pa because there's no industry self-regulation mechanisms kung political ads ang pinag-uusapan. So unlike ads for corporate brands, parang kailangan may monitor to sign off on ads, on billboards, on TV ads, to make sure that your claims are correct. But within the industry, there's very little interest in creating self-regulatory mechanisms for political campaigns. There are some boards. I learned quite recently that there's a political consultancy association of the Philippines. Yeah, but what are they doing? I don't know.
Right, because it's, to begin with, we hold one of the largest elections in the world, right? At any election, libo-libong candidates yung tumatakbo, libo-libong position yung at stake all over the country, because we do it all at the same time. Our national positions down to barangay lang yung exception, but down to the city councilor. It all happens all at once, and it becomes a huge spending party, and the economy actually ticks up pag may election spending, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we understand how these ad agencies, these PR advertising people, they wouldn't feel the incentive to.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
what do you think should be, because it's a great deal of work that needs to be done, right?
Yeah.
But siguro, to your imagination, where should the first move come from? The first thing, the first impetus to start this whole thing and get it going. Where do you think can it come from? Must it come from?
Yeah. So I think we should really assign responsibility, to legislators. And here, what I mean is, like legislation that is imaginative and creative, but never like heavy-handed on censorship. So I think a political campaign transparency act must be the way forward. Something that would really update the Fair Elections Act. Right. I think hindi ito masosolve ng like very micro, for example, like media literacy efforts, diba? So parang that assigns responsibility on the ordinary person to be looking at what he or she is seeing on social media. But I think, we need to assign more responsibility on legislators, industry leaders, to come up with a fair approach to doing campaigns in social media. And there are many folks who have been trying to get this conversation started. There's Lente, the election watchdog.
Right.
You've got journalists and fact checkers who have been really on the front lines of catching fake news. Academics are also working on this and trying to engage with legislators, also with the Commission on Elections, to create more obligations on politicians and campaigners to be more transparent about what they're doing.
Right, and of course, yung kalat na naiiwan, di ba? Because all of this disinformation, things that are meant to mislead the voters, naiiwan sa utak ng tao, right? I mean, it's hard to erase things that are already absorbed and ingrained in the person's perception, and then we end up having a very muddled picture of the truth. You know? So for us ordinary citizens, ordinary people, what would you recommend as a, if at all, if that's at all possible, na yung ordinaryong tao, ano yung pwede niyang gawin sa immediate circle niya to fight disinformation?
Exactly. Yeah. So I think parang at the individual level, no, parang tinatawag yung current moment natin na post-truth moment.
Right.
Na parang the real intention of all these kinds of disinformation or fake news campaigns is to really muddle the truth. Everyone has their own version of the truth, and that would lead towards separation and polarization. I think we still need to kind of reach out and engage and listen to others. Parang the approach is not to double down on our small tribes, but to continue engaging, continue being critical. Let's not disengage, let's not be disenchanted. Let's continue calling out fake as it is, calling it out when it happens.
Because that's what ends up happening, di ba? Parang galit-galit eh, parang ganun nangyayari. That's your belief, that's my belief. Sure, fine, but let's not talk. Di
Let's
ba?
not talk anymore.
And that's what we don't want, right?
Yeah, so unfriending is, I don't agree with that method.
Okay.
I think it's good to have, like in my own feed, even though it's it's kind of like a toxic experience to be reading through some of these posts. It's good to curate it in such a way that at least you get to know, get to hear what the narrative is from the other side, just so you can try to understand and make that intervention from there.
Right, Jonathan, I think we've only just scratched the surface of your study. It's very fascinating.
Thank you.
It's very detailed. It really, it tore apart these things, and you made sense of it. So for those watching us, how can they get a hold of this study, Tracking Digital Disinformation in the 2019 Philippine midterm election? Where can they find this?
Yes, so it's available for download in the New Mandala website. It's a free download. It's around 50 pages long, but we've also got a summary there. So looking forward to everyone's feedback.
And then, are you fielding this? Are you going to go on a tour? Is that the word for it? To promote it.
Yeah.
Are you going to send this to think tanks or maybe some of our leaders?
So we're actually holding like a consultation meeting. So first of all, with local audiences, particularly with the election watchdog, we've been working with Lente. The Comelec commissioners will be there together with some legislators. Yeah, just to start a discussion around how could we make campaigns more fair and transparent.
Because we have 2022 coming up,
Yeah.
right? And we all know that after one election, everyone is already looking to the next 2022. And as you have shown here, a lot can happen in 3 years.
Yes.
And this whole thing will evolve, perhaps transmogrify again in the next, and we'll be seeing new things again in 2022. Right?
Yeah. And actually, the world is watching the Philippines around disinformation. They consider the Philippines as at the forefront of fake news innovation. So that's really sad that we are innovators in this regard. So they're saying that the innovations that happen here happen because we have a thriving digital culture, and we spend 10 hours a day on social media.
Right.
Yeah, so parang all of these elements parang create for a thriving fake news infrastructure. So we need to also try to innovate when it comes to solutions. And I think that's what I hope that civil society, journalists, legislators would try to work towards.
Yes, thank you so much, Jonathan. On that note, thank you so much for coming here and sharing this with us, and for putting out this study and putting in the hard work that gave us this very comprehensive view of the scenario that we're dealing with right now. Thank you very much for joining us here on Rappler Talk. See you again next time. Thank you so much, Jonathan.